Black Juggalo 530 back here with another video, and today let's talk about another Chinese developed game called Bloody Spells that you could actually buy off of Steam. This was actually a very interesting game. There's some cons to this game, but there is a lot of pros to this game, and it's actually a very fun game. I would actually say that for sure. I have been playing this game for the past 2 years, and I've just basically had a blast with it ever since I even first got my hands on it. So let's get into this. So basically there's like several different modes to this game. You have a story mode, you have a bloody palace mode, you also have a practice mode, and you have an arena mode, and I will be going through both of those modes. I've basically only just played the story all from start to finish, and I played each mode basically once. But I mean, this game really actually has a lot to offer, and I feel like this game is basically a game that could actually really thrive with a really steady community that's also willing to actually put work into making the game better itself, because this game actually supports Steam's workshop. So the community itself could actually make mods for this game, and the mods that they already have are already crazy. You got you got not power up mods, but you got weapons mods and armor mods that actually look pretty cool. And I have gotten footage of a lot of those different, like my favorite mod, armor mod, that I've used in the arena mode and the bloody palace mode and the practice mode. So this is a action role-playing game with a core that is battle oriented and combines many fighting elements and systems together to basically create like this Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, and much more of like a kind of like a Dark Souls feel to the combat system and to how the game plays out. And I personally like it. I was never really personally a fan of Dark Souls, but then again, I'm also not personally a fan of saying the word personally multiple times in one sentence either. The story revolves around two characters. One, the main character named Yijin, and that is based on who you prefer to play as, a male character or a female character. As you can see, I am playing as the female character, and I do believe this is actually a DLC costume that I'm wearing in this scene right here. But you have a sister named Lee, and both of you guys have practiced martial arts under the sect of Wanfu. And since then, you've both been far away from the complicated human world until a priestess and her demonic clan have fought their way into your sanctuary and kidnapped your sister, who is integral to their plans to unleash evil for reasons unknown, because they're just evil people and they just do that. So basically, after the priestess takes your sister, you awaken and you have a voice in your head named the Faceless. I only remember the name of the Faceless. I don't even remember the evil priestess's name, but she is all over the main menu. And but the Faceless dude here will literally teach you how to get your bloody spells back, your powers to go and rescue your sister from the evil priestess. But I'm not going to spoil the ending for you. That would be no fun. I know it's a 2 to 3 year old game here, but you got to leave something to the imagination when you play it. There's also a lot of collectibles in this game. There's a lot of treasure chests, and there's also a lot of obstacles, like a lot of obstacles and a lot of puzzles that you'll come across here in the story mode of this game. This game actually really feels like it's worth like a good $25, which is like literally the price tag of it on Steam right now. And you actually feel like you're getting like a full game here and plus more. They also have a lot of in-level storefronts known as these like little pillars that glow. You could also buy your blood armor from these pillars. You could also buy amber, which I assume would also help you grow your bloody spell powers. I know I sounded like I didn't. I sounded like I just didn't play this game just right there, but this was the one thing that confused me, is like the amber things right here in the shops here. I didn't really understood if that's what you help, if you buy those, if they helped you power up your bloody spell powers, or if those are your bloody spell powers. But these little stones you could also use to sell like old equipment, old weapons that you don't use anymore in this game, or weapons that are just too poor in power, like critical damage, attack damage. If it's red, like that means it's just pretty much bad. If it's up in green, then that means it's got something more powerful than what you already got equipped. So it is nice to have these little pillars all throughout the story mode of the game, because because like these shops really come in handy when you need them to. So this game has several different areas within its story mode. You start out in the sanctuary, where the priestess takes your sister. And then after a training with the Faceless, you then start out in a dungeon, fighting your way out so you could go rescue your sister. So you'll be going through a dungeon that has a musty looking dungeon that has basically obstacles like saws going through the grounds, and platforming, as well as also spikes, pretty much. Yeah. Wait. That actually might be towards the ending of the game, is the spikes. I believe so. So after you get out of the dungeon, you make your way through a forest that's full of booby traps, like bear traps. And you come across, and then once you make your way through all of the forest with the bear traps, as you could probably see, you come across a village, and then you talk to some villagers, and they're all freaked out about this evil legion of monsters that the priestess has basically sicked on everybody all throughout this world, basically, just so she could do her little evil plans. So after you leave the village, you make your way through multiple other villages until you come across this guy right here, as he kills this giant dude. And this is actually like one of the first kind of memorable boss battles, because this is an old character from your sect that now thinks you betrayed the entire clan. There's different types of villages. Like the villages feel like, the atmosphere of the villages feel like natural ancient China villages, like what you will probably see in like the movies and stuff. And the farms kind of really honestly remind me of what you will see in China, in like the Kung Fu Chinese movies from back in the day as well. I feel like they really kind of get down the aesthetics of the ancient China aesthetics here. And these farms are also full of crossbow booby traps as well, and also more bear traps. And then the enemies, I actually really like the enemy designs in these areas as well. Though this whole game really does look a lot more different than it did in its early access form. Now I've noticed, compared to the early access form, the areas of this game are a lot more flushed out with detail now. I've noticed that during the early access, I felt like the game looked pretty barren, but now the game does not look barren at all. It looks very lushful in how they got the landscape much more detailed in this retail version compared to what I've experienced and have played during the early access version a couple years ago. So after you get past all the farms and the villages, you'll come across an area. You'll face a couple bosses until you get into a shrine of some sort. And this shrine is like a maze. Like the first time I remember playing this shrine, I just got so confused. And it just felt like this shrine part actually drags out. But the detail, the lighting, and the shrine also has these specific enemies that you really don't face anywhere else in the game except for in this area of the game. And they seem kind of challenging, but once you pull off combos left and right, they're actually really easy to take down. And don't forget the dodge. After you make your way out of the shrine, you're going to face your way through another bamboo forest, through big enemies, tall enemies like these. You're going to make your way to a town. The town part here, it's just a regular ancient Chinatown. The one thing I really have to say about the environment of this game is that the normal areas they're just normal areas of what we've grown up to see in ancient China influenced movies or ancient China styled movies. Like, it's all here basically. There's really nothing new. In all honesty, I feel like the atmosphere of this game, it doesn't really get more interesting until maybe the ending, because then that's when they really switch the environment up. So once after you reconnect with that one character from earlier that you faced in the first forest, you both make your way through the rest of the town until you actually come upon another shrine. You get led to a newer world. This is a newer environment. It looks very, this is actually kind of where it seems bland, but I can't really say that it is, honestly. I mean, like, I guess you really can say that it is bland. It's basically just a weird platforming type of environment here. But it actually does, like, it's not a bad area, though it's full of these priest enemies that are just actually some of the hardest enemies throughout the entire game, if you ask me. Now, once you make your way through this environment here, you find yourself in a whole new hellish-like environment, and this is basically the last environment of the entire game. And it is actually one of my. It's honestly a way to set the game off, if you ask me. Like, it's the way to set the whole vibe of the game off. Is with atmosphere, aesthetic. You actually feel like chaos is about to come out and destroy the world right here. And this is the one and the only chance you have to stop it by saving your sister. And this environment just ties the whole entire game together as its ending, as at basically just one of the best parts of the game, story mode wise, if you ask me. So this game also features several other modes. You have survival mode, where it seems like you play against other players or you play against computers, and you guys hunt down other enemies but also hunt down each other, and it's definitely like a free-for-all. And I actually had a lot of fun with this one. I didn't expect myself to have a lot of fun with this one because I don't play a lot of multiplayer games like these, But this one was actually pretty good, and I'd actually play it again. Priestess exam mode seems more like a randomized survival type of mode where you're just playing with yourself against a randomized horde of enemies, and it's all randomized. Like, you just press the R trigger on the randomizer menu, and it'll just literally land on any type of enemy and how many enemies. So you could actually eventually find yourself facing 7 bosses at once in this mode. I have played this mode once. I have not had that happen to me, but I've had 2 different bosses at once with several other little enemies, and it was a pain in the ass. I have died twice during that round in this mode, but this was also kind of fun. This is honestly a good mode to also show off a lot of community built modded weapons and modded armor. Like, I actually have this armor right here. I don't know the name of this armor, but I actually like it. And then there's going to be a lot of armor that I'm not going to show. So like this, I'm just going to be playing with this armor because I know that this is actually, I don't think I could get in trouble for playing with this armor on YouTube. I don't really see how I would, but there will be a lot of other costumes made by the community that you cannot just show on YouTube. So you also have Bloody Palace mode. This is basically like the same thing from Devil May Cry, except for it is in Bloody Spells, and it's the Bloody Spells take on this mode. This was really fun to play. I mean, if you've played Devil May Cry, it's basically the same thing, pretty much. So there's really like nothing else to really say about this mode. And then the last single player mode we have here is Arena mode. I actually really like this one. It's basically just bosses and other type of fighters, like computerized fighters in this game, or in this mode, I mean, and you just beat one challenger after another, and it's steady. You also have breaks during this mode. This is also some of the fighters in this mode could also be very challenging as well. It's a really good mode to actually mess around with. I definitely would, if you just want to like just play like Bloody Spells without doing the story or anything and just go up against like hard challenging enemies, this would be the mode right here. Now there's also a legit multiplayer mode on this game, but I could not figure out how to get it to work. It just kept on searching and searching and searching for players. And I've seen footage of people actually playing the early access version of this online with other people. I don't, maybe there's just not too many people playing this online anymore, and it's honestly kind of a real shame because this is, like I said, this game, I could see this game thriving if it actually had much more of a dedicated community, as well as it seems like there is a community for mods basically on this game, but there seems to be no community for online multiplayer, unfortunately. So as basically the pros and cons of this game, the pros basically are the game's got exciting combat, that is for sure. I've actually had a blast with the combat system on this game. Good martial arts / fantasy aesthetics, like the environments of the areas in this game, the levels, the chapters, and also even the other playable modes in this game are just phenomenal. The weapon selection, you got your three basic weapon types. You got your double swords, your heavy weapons, and your staff weapons. Both of them feel good. I tend to go for the staff and the 2 swords weapons more than the heavy weapons, though I have used several of the heavy weapons in this game. They're fine. then, of course, like I mentioned before, you got the numerous game modes that just adds 10 times more playtime to this game. Then you also have the cons of the games, the frustrating randomized skill progression, which I have to admit, I don't think I really noticed that until the last chapter of the storyline where the enemies actually, no, probably like the last two chapters, because that's when I basically died about maybe 3 times during my entire playthrough of this game, and it was at the very last 2 chapters. So that's where, but that's not very randomized. That's just standard, like, oh, you're close to the ending of the game, so enemies are going to be harder, you know? But the defense and counter abilities, I would probably say those definitely need to be rebalanced, I feel. I didn't even know there was a parry system until after I played the story mode and I started playing the arena mode, because there's several times I've accidentally parried off of the challengers in that mode. And then, of course, you also have the poor English translation of the texts. I could understand playing a subtitled game, but this is honestly one of the worst translated games I've ever freaking even witnessed. As fun as the game really actually is, the English translation needs to be better, and I'm surprised in the retail version they actually let that go, because I remembered in the early access that was definitely my biggest gripe, is the English translation of this game. And I wish they would have actually done something to actually fix that. But at least we got the game that we got here. At least it's fun. I just wish that it was a lot easier for me, an English speaking gamer, to understand what's really going on in the story of this game and to actually understand the full on story. But until I learn Chinese, which I have a learning disability, I don't really see that happening. I guess I'm just gonna have a lot of questions about the story of this game. So I would say, like, my final thoughts with this game is that this really honestly is a pretty solid game for $25 on Steam for the PC platform. Do I really see console release with this game? If this game has already been out for almost since this version of the game has basically been out since 2022 for 1 year, and the early access has was going from 2019 through 2023 or 2022, I believe, then I don't really see this game getting much more of a console release. But what I do see is a lot of content being put into this game over time, and maybe even hopefully the English translation would be better in the near future with patches, or if there's an actual community that's actually going to be developing mods for this game, maybe the future community of this game can actually make a English patch that the English translation is better and is a lot more readable. But until then, I would say I'd probably give this like a I would probably give this game maybe a 3 out of 5, because it's a very good game. It's worth $25. You get a lot more than what you're paying for $25. But this game still honestly needs a lot of work. There is still some problems with this game, but all in all, this is a solid game to play here. So I would honestly recommend give this game a try, especially if you happen to find it on sale. Just buy the base game. Don't even buy the DLC. If you really like this game enough, then buy the DLC. But just save some money and just spend the $25 on this game, and you're gonna get your money's worth here. Alrighty, I think I'm done talking about this game. This video basically clocked over about almost 30 minutes or so of content about this game, and I'm already started working on my next video after this one, which is going to be a Sega Dreamcast title, and it's one of my favorite survival horror games on the Sega Dreamcast. So until then, I will catch you guys later. Grab a Faygo from on your guys' way out by the refrigerator. And until next time, keep it underground. Peace. They won't be